if I have to leave momentarily. But he's just sitting in the yard right now. He's good.
The Nathan Stack and August Beard in prime form. Lounge 182. The Teal Man, Charlie Hildebrand, is here. Got a Syracuse hat and a national shirt today is the combo.
I'm repping Javid Best, losing in the 100-meter heat to Usain Bolt. So representing St. Lucia.
Sandals?
St. Lucia. Sandals St. Lucia.
Javad Best, the native son of the St. Lucian Islands. We are in the midst. We're right in the middle of these goddamn Olympics. The court, the green court here looks just like the green pool. They were so excited about this green color, Charlie. They decided to make the water the same color.
I was going to say, did anybody see that they were talking to some official about the green water for the diving? And they were like, how come it's green? And he's like, well, you know, chemistry is not an exact science. To which a lot of people, including myself, kind of thought, like, you know, I was not good at chemistry, but I'm pretty sure if you've taken a chemistry class, one of the first things you learn is that it is an exact science, that they give you a certain amount of something to put in there, and you can't be like, hey, let's just start throwing other stuff in here.
What happened with the water?
Because that's how things explode.
Well, it took them a day or two, but I believe they said that it was something with the algae.
The algae? Where the hell are they getting their water from? Jesus Christ. If there's algae in the water.
Well, it's better than the sewage water that those canoers and kayakers have to row in.
A lot of people have been saying it. Stacking, so it must be true. What do we got? We got...
you sounded like Trump. A lot of people. I know a lot of people that are saying...
A lot of people are...
Name your sources.
Yeah, it's everybody. Everybody's a source. Swimming's been good. What else has been going on here that I don't care about? What do we got?
Well, the U.S. women's gymnastics team annihilated...
What an upset. What an upset.
I mean, no, but it wasn't an upset, but the victory margin that they had was one of the biggest we've ever seen. Just like in the individual ones with Simone Biles beating Allie Raisman by 2 points, which if you had... I think I had heard if you took the last 7 individual gymnastics winners in their point differential, it didn't equal the 2+ points that Simone Biles won by. She's just phenomenal. But
so this is all fixed. This is all fixed, is what you're saying.
I don't think so. I think America's just really good at gymnastics. They're not very good at tennis anymore. Thanks, Serena and Venus. Appreciate that. Good job, U.S. women's soccer, losing to Sweden. That was fun, but I think the two true stars in these Olympics so far, and it shouldn't come as any surprise to anyone. It's Michael Phelps and Katie Ledecky. I will go on record.
I tossed Biles in there too.
Well, yeah, okay, yep, and Biles too. But I guess people are so much more focused, I think, on the pool than they are with gymnastics, which is a little sad. But she's right up there too. I'm going to say that Ledecky makes a significant run at Phelps's total medal count.
Whoa, let's not go McElroy on the deal here. Let's back into what she's got. 5.
I mean, we gotta calm down. I mean, you gotta remember Phelps has more individual golds than Leonidas of Rhodes now. I mean, you don't just waltz in and pass Leonidas of Rhodes and gold medals.
That's true. What 152 BC? I think he set that mark. So that record stood the test of time for quite a while now.
Still haven't seen the newspaper headlines from that Olympics 2,000 years ago. I'm hoping those surface sometime soon.
I mean, it's going to be tough. She has a lot of... she'd have to compete in a lot of different events, but the way she crushed the 800-meter freestyle, it was insane. She crushed her Olympic record. She is the next best thing in terms of American swimming, only behind Phelps right now. I'm not saying she's going to beat the 26 medals, but I will say that she easily wins the most medals on the women's side that anyone's ever had, and she will get very close to Phelps's total. If she doesn't get to 20, I would be surprised.
But what, she's at 5 medals are all gold? Is that what you ended up with?
In these Olympics, I believe she might have 1 silver because she lost to the Iron Lady of Hungary that Katinka Hatsu, whose husband is also her swim coach, and just goes irate every.
Goes frickin' nuts every race. I'm glad she lost that one solely because of her husband.
Well, good. So you say that she's going to challenge that. She'd have to compete in at least 3 more.
She's only 19.
While maintaining the same level at the same time,
yes,
as we've seen with numerous Olympians, even Phelps himself, who did very well in the London Games, but by Phelps standards did kind of poorly in London, that it's tough to maintain that drive for 8 or 12 years.
Right, but wouldn't you say that these Olympics have almost been his most impressive ones, considering his age and how much he is still beating the best swimmers in the world by?
I mean, you can make a case for it, but I think in Beijing in 2008, he had 8 golds and 7 of them he set the world record. So I think it's tough to say that that's not.
So this would probably be his second best Olympics.
I mean, we could say that, sure, but also, like, we've never seen anybody that good before that just keeps coming back. Like, I'm not saying that nobody else can do that, but they would certainly be bucking the trend of going, like, 3 straight Olympics where you're the best swimmer overall for, you know, your specific gender, which, you know, that doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, it's the same like with sprinting, too. I mean, there's guys that are great sprinters. It is really tough to win, like, the 100 and the 200 and the 400, or like what Bolt's tried to do, 3 straight Olympics. Like, doing it once is tough. Repeating's tough. But, like, when you're talking over, like, an 8-year span, like, you just get older and your body changes, and it's tough to stay that driven and focused.
There's a gymnast from the Soviet Union back in the 50s and 60s. She holds the record for women total medals at 18. She's also second all-time behind Michael Phelps with 9 gold medals. So I think stacking would be you'd be onto something if Katie Ledecky wins the second most gold medals ever. I think that's well in her reach. She's halfway there already.
Yeah, and she's only 19. I mean, she's got 2 Olympics at least in her, and just gotta see how it goes. But I'd be willing to bet we see her up through 31.
Goal, yeah, 23 for Michael Phelps, gold medals. Number 2
Michael
on this.
Jordan would be proud.
He would be. Number 2 on this list is at 9.
He, I believe, also would qualify as the
Of anybody.
29th best country in terms of how many gold medals
Ever.
won since the Olympics began. So if Michael Phelps were his own country, he'd be like 28th, 29th on the list out of every country in the world.
I thought I saw 33rd, but the difference between 28th and 33rd is not that grand of a difference.
He has 14 more gold medals than any other person has ever had. And 28, that's quite a bit. Here's a question. Why is first, Charlie, you said something earlier this week about what, she's going to Stanford or wherever the hell she's going, and she's going to compete there.
Oh yeah, with Katie Ledecky.
Like, how the hell do you get motivated to compete against random people from Pac-12 schools?
The way I worded it probably wasn't perfect because it made it sound like the NCAA might not want you to come back after getting gold, and I wasn't talking about that, although I could see the NCAA being weird about some things. But, like, after you win gold medals, you beat everybody in the world at your respective sport, like Ledecky did. You set world records in at least some of them. Like, how do you be like, all right, got to get real excited for this invitational at Oregon State. Got to get my best swim. Like, I don't know how you do that. Now, if it's, I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I know her family and financial situation, but I feel like you could monetize it enough that you could pay for your education. Stanford is expensive enough, though, that if she wants to, you know, swim to get her education paid for to get a Stanford degree, like, I can kind of understand that, but I feel like there's other ways. Like I don't know. Do you think that there's some way you could be like, hey, Stanford, how about I don't swim and you pay for the rest of my schooling, and I will do like 5 public appearances a year, and I will show up at these other fundraiser things as the multi-time golden win. I mean, and maybe that wouldn't work, but like you mentioned earlier, Kriens, like the big point is it's just like why do you want to go and like go against these kids that are like, hey, after the swim test, I got to go prepare for that econ exam. Like it's just, it reminds me kind of like I don't want to say she was necessarily as dominant as some of these guys in team sports, and it's tough to compare team sports to individual sports. But like, could you imagine like Mark McGuire, like after the '98 season, like if I think you went to USC, if they were like, hey Mark, we need you to come back and hit some dingers for old Troy. It'd be I would imagine like you could do it for like 1 or 2 games, then you just be like, this isn't the same. Like this isn't nearly as fun. It's not nearly getting my competitive juices going to the same degree.
I believe McGuire was on the '84 Olympic team for baseball.
I would say that probably the difference, though, is, I mean, you still need these competitions to stay on top of your game to be able to compete at the U.S. Championships and the World Championships to earn your Olympic spot. So it's not like, unlike Michael Phelps.
They have the World Championships every single year, though. I mean, not everybody that trains like to compete in the World Championships is a collegiate student. And my understanding is like also I think you could swim, like if you're forced to, like you want to swim at some college meet just to get laps in or whatever, I think you could swim unattached. Yeah. Like basically I'm just talking about like the NCAA, and I don't know, maybe she's going to live off campus or whatever, but I just don't know how you could be like, all right, I got to go to the union to talk to this tutor about this thing, and be like, I would just think most people, and I'm talking about like setting world records in a sport that people care about. Like this wouldn't work for like archery or judo or anything like that, but for swimming or gymnastics or for track and field, they'd just be like, yep, I think I'm past this stuff now.
Well, I mean, Mark McGuire was brought up earlier, but I would say that he has far better chances of earning tons of money in Major League Baseball than Katie Ledecky's ever going to have in terms of champion swimming professionally.
Sponsorships.
She's going to get sponsorships, yes, but sponsorships may only carry her so far. So she needs that college education. Everyone should want the college education. I don't know. I mean,
I'm not saying she shouldn't get a degree. I'm just saying, like, I don't know why it wouldn't be like, all right, I'll be a student, but like I'm not doing all this other stuff. Because like you have to do all sorts of other stuff athletically too. It's like why do I want to go, host this hotshot high school recruit to try to get him to come to Stanford? It's like I've won 4 gold medals or whatever. And maybe they won't try to get her to do any of that stuff.
I heard Travis tried to recruit Nate Wetkin to SDSU into the sports information.
Well, I tried. We just couldn't get him. We tried. We brought in the strippers. We did everything we could. Drugs, money, the barbecue funds were.
Did you reach out to Coach Patino's assistant for that?
We tried. We got the wrong number though. We got some other coach at Louisville. We didn't get him, but. We tried, we failed, and that's the way it goes.
I do think you raise an interesting point, Charlie, and I guess I would just have to say probably based on her work ethic or just what type of person she is, if she really wants this degree or not. I'm sure Stanford will make some sort of exceptions, but then again, being a private school, maybe they will just say, no, you're going here, that's fine. A public institution maybe would be a little more lenient, but then again, I don't know what they did when Tiger Woods was around.
I don't know. Did Tiger Woods complete his degree? I don't know if he did. Maybe he did. If he did, then I
back, I think, to complete it.
Okay.
Who was the big female swimmer 4 years ago?
Missy Franklin. She swims at Georgia.
How's she doing now?
She's terrible.
How's that going to work out?
Well, I don't know if I'd say she's terrible, but she's not nearly as good as she was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
She didn't win any medals. I don't think she made the finals in anything. She was at least good enough to make the semifinals in like.
I think she won 1 gold in a relay, but.
How does that happen? She won 4 gold medals and a bronze 4 years ago. She's won 11 world titles, 16 world championships. Member of the national team when she's 15. She's won 7 NCAA titles. She went to Cal. They won the national championship last year. She apparently, according to this, she turned pro last year in March, following her sophomore season at Cal. So maybe that's
I was really off with Georgia. I'll be right back to contribute.
Okay, maybe that
I was off on that first one. I mean, why even say anything?
You're suspended for the next 2 minutes here. We're going to put him in a goddamn penalty box here. So maybe that answers some of Charlie's questions as far as her future at Stanford, since Missy Franklin turned pro last year in March after a sophomore season. She's like, all right, that's enough of this. We can make some money now swimming. And so I would say I would use her as an example, just because you won a bunch of medals 1 year doesn't mean you're going to necessarily rule the roost for the next dozen years. So
I mean, like I'll go to the well and use movies as an example, which I know Kriens is a diehard
I'm huge.
cinema
Huge
fan.
movies. I've seen at least multiple movies.
It's like Rocky 3 though. In Rocky 2, he
Sure.
beats Apollo Creed to win the heavyweight title, and then he fights a bunch of guys he's way better than, and then he just kind of loses that edge, and then he gets the snot kicked out of him by Mr. T. I don't remember what Mr. T's name was in Rocky 3.
Lang.
Yeah, that's right, Clubber Lang. And then he had to get the eye of the tiger back. And I think that for a lot of people, there's probably a lot of that, especially with the Olympics, where you don't do it for another 4 years. Like, you know what? Like, I won 4 gold medals. Last time I swam, I don't know. I worked out heavy 5 days a week. Maybe I'm only going to do it 3 days a week. And there's going to be a few other times where I go a little bit easier.
Why the hell did I think she was from Georgia? She went to Georgia.
Hard to say. I have no idea what any of these people do.
Well, I mean, if you're naming a state, you had a 1 in 50 shot, and if you take out Alaska and Hawaii, it was a 1 in 48 chance. So
sure as hell don't think it's South Dakota.
G and C are close together in the alphabet, so
Yeah.
Well, I'm normally not that. Anyway, I was off on that one. So.
Why is volleyball and basketball in the Summer Olympics and not the Winter Olympics? These are not summer sports. These are winter sports, Stackin'. Who made this goddamn dumb decision?
I don't know. Well, I mean, you can't play beach volleyball in the winter. That seems.
You want to play that during the summer? Knock yourself out.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I guess I don't know. They have hockey in the winter, so it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense
Right.
for hockey and basketball to compete.
Why not? Basketball is a winter sport. Volleyball takes place the same time as football. These are not summer sports.
what if I can give 2 reasons.
What do we got?
I'm not saying either of these are the actual reasons, but 2 that at least sort of work out. Is that 1, winter does not affect like volleyball or basketball in terms of the way it's played at all, since it's indoors. And the other, and this is more so with basketball, is if you do it in the summer, you don't have to worry about competing with the NBA during the NBA season then. So I would imagine that that's the main reason, is they can just say, well, at least this way we don't have to have, 12 or 15 guys or however many be like, all right, I'm gone for the next month.
Figure skating's indoors. Are there any other indoor Winter Olympic sports?
Speed skating, figure skating, curling.
It's all on ice. Any non-ice sports?
Non-ice.
Inside. If it's inside, it's going to be on ice. Probably.
I'll take a look here at the events and let you know.
I got a trivia question for folks. U.S. men's basketball 2004 got a bronze. That's not good. I think they went 5-3. Start with Charlie. We'll go to Stackin. There were 12 guys on the team. Who were on the team?
I was hoping you'd ask who they lost to, because I think they lost to both Argentina and Puerto Rico.
They did, and Lithuania.
That one I would not have remembered.
Somehow they lost to Puerto Rico by 19 points.
There's only a handful of guys I remember on that team. I remember watching one of the games where they barely beat somebody that they should have won by 20. I don't remember who it was, though.
They beat Greece by 6. They beat Spain by 8. They beat Lithuania in the rematch by 8 for a bronze.
It was maybe Greece. Anyways, naming players, I will go with the easy ones first. Then I'll say Tim Duncan.
Duncan was on the team.
Oh, okay. You want the team, the members on the 2014?
He was the team captain.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say Carmelo Anthony.
He was on the team. Yes.
I will say LeBron James.
LeBron James, his good work in title game started here. He was on the team.
Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade also was on the team.
Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson, your leading scorer at just under 14 points a game.
It's weird how this guy that always took a boatload of shots was the guy who was the leading scorer for the U.S.
On the team.
Gary Payton.
Gary Payton dead, not on the team.
Oh.
I'm glad you got that one wrong, Stackin, because I had exhausted the names I knew that were on the team and was into guessing point then.
We will give Charlie the win, but if you want to keep going, that's fine.
Let's see, 2004, around that point in time.
The low point of the NBA. Or 2003, 4, 5. It's a lot of garbage.
Chauncey Billups?
Billups. No Billups. And a hint?
Richard Hamilton?
No. I'd like to know the last white guy to make the Olympic team.
Gilbert Arenas.
Gilbert Arenas. Bang bang. No.
Oh, I thought that was a good bang bang.
Bang bang works well for Gilbert Arenas though.
Yes, it does.
Like there's a lot of guys I can think of that were either on it in like 08 or were on it in 2000, but I don't know if they were on it in 04. Because Kobe wasn't on it in 04, right?
Nope, he was in Colorado.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
Larry
I forgot
Brown?
about that.
Larry Brown was the head coach. His assistants were Roy Williams and Greg Popovich.
I remember Larry Brown being the head coach because they made a big deal that if the U.S. won the gold, which everyone assumed they would before they started losing, that he would be the first coach ever that had an NCAA title, a NBA title, and also a gold medal. But obviously they did not win the gold medal.
If you shine up that bronze real shiny, it can maybe look like a gold.
I love Larry Brown. What a classy individual.
If you had a TV network, you'd have him and Mike Sosha host the show together and just talk for 3 hours a day.
So what other names were on the 04 team?
Starberry.
Oh, man.
Carlos Boozer.
Jeez, no wonder they lost.
Emeka Okafor.
Oh, man. So that was when he was, like, fresh out of UConn then.
Richard Jefferson. Dick Jefferson. Noted stripper guy, Lamar Odom.
So far, I think Richard Jefferson and Tim Duncan were the only two at the 04 Olympics that were still in the NBA this past year.
Yes. Well, here's one more. Phoenix Suns teammates, Amare Stoudemire and Sean Marion. That's
Really?
the roster, folks.
Kevin Garnett wasn't on the team? Did he decline?
Anything's possible. This was not possible. He was not on the team.
They still should have won gold, but listing off those guys, it's like, yeah, if I'm going to pick one NBA team since '92,
Oh, good.
one All-Star team, I can understand that that's the one that did.
Because who won it that year? Argentina?
Argentina won. Yes.
Thanks to Manu Ginobili.
Ginobili's. Look at Ginobili's go. Anything else with this Olympics? We got some track stuff going on. I can stand and watch them run for 10 seconds, I suppose.
Switching back to my Facebook post from yesterday.
Oh, yes.
You could add one Summer Olympic sport or event. What would either, and you know what? You don't even have to add one. You can add more than one if you want. What would you guys want to add? I don't remember the exact 5 I came up with. I think most of them were serious, but some of them were not as much. But it was like one-on-one basketball, potato sack race, and an obstacle course, and I don't remember what the other ones were.
It's got to be tug of war.
I was going to say
tug of war wasn't one that I listed, but instantly was like, yeah, I would watch an international tug of war competition at the Olympics.
Cornhole.
Cornhole, look at this guy. That's something else. Cornhole would be something.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I'd watch it, but I'd have zero. Well, maybe I'd have a little bit of a problem with that being an Olympic event because I don't know if there's any real athleticism involved. But But if they want to, archery's one, so I wouldn't. I wouldn't be angry if it was.
That takes a lot of strength, though. Let's
Yeah, more. What should not?
I also liked Kriens's the who can hold their breath the longest. I think I would be intrigued to see who could win that each year.
And it's really the only sport where there's a fear of death involved.
Yeah.
Really. Somebody could die. He's under there for 10 minutes. He's not coming up.
Especially if it's like bracket style, where you have to look at the other person and see who goes up for air first. That would be interesting.
Like someone didn't they mention yesterday longest drive? That golf's back.
Mm.
Oh yeah, I think I put that one. And
home run derby?
I would be intrigued to see who could have the longest drive.
Home run derby?
I think home run derby be kind of fun.
What shouldn't be a sport?
That's currently a sport. Is that what we want? Because I'll give you a few that I think are.
What should not be an Olympic sport?
Rhythmic gymnastics.
To me, the one that sticks out the most is synchronized diving. Because while I'm okay with diving because that's difficult, I just truly do not care if two people can do it at the same time. We don't have. And I guess by extension that would mean synchronized swimming also. But we don't have hey, let's have synchronized running and see what two guys can finish the finish line at the exact same time.
I would go synchronized swimming. That's a waste of time.
Rhythmic gymnastics, get the hell out of here. Equestrian, not huge into that.
I heard a lot of people make the joke, and I'd be kind of maybe agree that I think unrhythmic gymnastics might be more entertaining to watch.
I could say maybe badminton, though that's huge in the Asian countries like Malaysia and Bangladesh, China. They love their badminton.
We got the golf here. Henrik Stensson's among the leaders here.
Yep, Matt Kuchar had a good final round. He looks like he's going to secure at least a bronze.
I don't know if we talked about this a while back, but this doesn't seem like a big deal at all.
The Olympic golf.
Is this even worse than the PGA Championship as far as people giving a shit?
I think it's safe to say it is not as big of a deal as any of the four majors. The question I was going to ask is, assuming they keep golf, which who knows, maybe they won't, but I was wondering how long it would be until winning a gold medal in golf would be and I don't even know if it would have to be as big of a deal as the four majors, but just be a big deal in the first place. And I think it could be in 8 or 16 or 20 years, just for the fact that it's you only get a chance every 4 years to do it.
The problem with all of these sports is like tennis and golf is. They got their majors. They got their tours. I'm sure, we didn't back 100 years ago. That was we bring all the best players together when that couldn't happen. But now we see them every week play against each other, and we know who the best players in the world are. So it's just a waste of goddamn time to say, we're going to have golf and tennis and all this stuff in the, whoever won the gold in women's tennis. Who cares? Nobody cares.
I do think that to tennis, I think it does mean a little bit more because you do get some of these players from countries that you never hear of come the Grand Slam event. So I do think that some tennis players do take the Olympics a little bit more seriously than we otherwise might think they would. Golf, I think, would need to change the format up. Do a Ryder Cup sort of deal. The bracket style. I love my brackets.
Really?
Look, yeah. Did you know that? Breaking news. Stacking loves brackets. I would try and do something bracket related for golf to and make it more team oriented. And I don't know if some of the players were using Zika and everything as an excuse as to not to go. If they genuinely just didn't want to do it and didn't think it was a big deal, or if they wanted to truly say, hey, like, no, I just got done playing the PGA Championship. I don't need to go to Rio here. Maybe after seeing this now, they'll want to play in Tokyo in 2020. I don't know, but I would like to see golf kind of change the format up rather than just make this an individual tournament.
Justin Rose in the lead right now. It's going to be Justin Rose or Henrik Stenson winning the gold. So there you go with that. Any more Olympic notes? We got track coming up. Basketball going to wrap up here. Anything else on your horizon that you're excited about?
I always kind of like the track and field stuff. Like, not all of the events, but the sprint events. I don't, like, go out of my way to watch them, but some things like, you know, the long jump or the pole vaulting, or since I was a thrower in high school, I kind of like shot put and discus. Like, by no means am I saying I'm a diehard fan and I'm going to, like, set my DVR or stay up till, you know, or like wake up at 4 in the morning to watch anything. But if they're on, I generally kind of like watching those for a few minutes. And I want to see if Bolt can win all the sprints again.
Oh,
As far as for me, looking here, I think
we just had almost a pretty good putt. Almost had a pretty good putt.
I'm anxious to see if Kerry Walsh-Jennings, April Ross can win in beach volleyball. That's interesting to me. We can only hope. I thought it was interesting that so many people were making a big deal of the lady for USA Fencing who was wearing, and I'm going to mess this name up, the hibaj, is that what it's called?
Couldn't tell you.
The head wrap or whatever.
The helmet?
No, like
under the helmet.
No, she's the Muslim lady
descent,
that has
wearing the head
thing
wrap. So I found it a little interesting why a lot of people were making a big deal about that. She helped Team USA, I believe, win bronze in the team fencing, so that's good. And then I am huge into this team handball. This is the sport that I would play if I were an Olympic athlete, and I'm Chad Greenway mentioned it, how much he loves it during the Vikings preseason game on Friday. So me and Chad Greenway are going to get a team together for the 2024 LA Olympics.
Had to get it in. Had to get the preseason in there. We had to get it. Good.
I wouldn't have said it if he hadn't mentioned it.
Mentioned handball.
Couple other Olympic things I forgot about and then remembered while Stacken was talking. My favorite of the ones people suggested on Facebook for me was friend of the Sports Lounge, Robbie Gallagher, who suggested Bloody Knuckles be an Olympic sport. I would be intrigued to watch that. I don't know if it would make good television or not, but it would at least be interesting. And the hot take for me is that I am always glad whenever the U.S. loses in soccer, and I hope they never win a soccer game ever for the rest of time. Because the more they lose, the less people care, and the less I have to hear about soccer in the United States becoming a thing.
Would you have said that if it were the men that had lost?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. This is some people try to make it into a men and women thing. I know no gender in soccer. Your sport is garbage, regardless of who plays it.
Charlie Hildebrand making a strong case here for comment of the year. Good.
One other Olympic event, let's have a food eating contest, just like they do with Nathan's Hot Dogs on the 4th of July. Let's get that in there, and maybe you can make it local cuisine to whatever Olympic sport. So like in Japan, you're gonna have to do sushi.
Okay.
What if they make it so whenever, for starting now, a new Olympics, they have to pick up some sport that is, or event that is from like that region that people don't normally play.
Oh, sumo wrestling.
Oh my.
That would be interesting, but I was going to say, like, so if it's ever in, like, the South in the United States, somewhere where fireworks are legal, you could do, like, the Roman candle wars. I would like to see Olympians shooting fireworks at each other, trying to dodge that.
Might get a medal in that for the U.S.
What is the playoff procedure here if there is a tie in this golf?
I don't know.
1 hole, 4 holes, 2 holes?
Start the whole Olympics all over again.
We don't need no ties here, folks. Ties, we don't like them.
Speaking of ties, I would like someone to figure out what the odds were of the
Oh my God.
three swimmers that tied for silver. I think it was in the one event that Phelps got a second. And I want to know what the odds are that you have three people finishing with the exact same time for silver.
I mean,
I would say if we're truly honest, the odds are 0, and they just need to add like thousandths and 10,000ths to the thing.
like, did they really all three touch at the exact same time? Somebody had to touch a millisecond before somebody.
But in terms of what you're saying, because they go like, do they go to thousandth at the Olympics? I think 3 decimal points.
Yeah, at least.
So yeah, I don't know what the odds are for just with that kind of timer. Obviously, they're incredibly low. I don't know if it's ever happened before. I never remember seeing anything where 3 people tied for first, second, or third place on like a timed thing.
So we have, 100-meter semifinal tonight?
Bolt versus Gatlin. I think that's what everyone's kind of...
Usain Bolt is in 1.
How old is Justin Gatlin now? Am I mistaken? Yeah, I was going to say, I thought like he was a sprinter like when I was like a kid. So, yeah.
I just saw something today because my good friend Chris Collinsworth did a nice piece on him.
Good.
He won the gold in 2004 in Athens, and then
How'd that work out?
then he doped up or cheated in 2006 at some little scrote event in Kansas.
Scrote event.
And then
Scrote event, like short for scrotum. I like it.
He's been battling back now for a while, so look for him. And then you have this Kawani James from Grenada and some DeWitt or DeLuitt or someone from the U.S. in the 400-meter that should be pretty interesting tonight.
So I assume they got 3 semifinals here, which makes no sense. But they got 3 semifinals. The top 2 in each go, I guess, and then the 2 best from that, I guess, would go. Yeah, I assume. So they got 2 wild cards. There you go. So Usain Bolt is in 1. Justin Gatlin is in the other, so they'll probably be in the finals. And you got some other jabrones in here as well. You got some guy from some country. His name is Ben Yusuf Mitri. I'll go with him because he got a weird name. A couple other Jamaican guys. So we're going to be people running distances. Let's see. His record, his all-time record in the 100 is 9.58. That's the world record. He ran it this year at 9.88. So he's, 3/10 off there from his world record. So he's slowing down. This is probably going to be it. 31 years old. This will be it. No, 29 years old. So this is probably it for him. So. Other news around the land. Alex Rodriguez retired. Talked about it a little bit last week. Had his last game on Friday. They played him at third base for a out.
Unfortunately, he did not hit 4 home runs in the game.
He had a double, and that was about it. Will he play again? I'd say yes. I changed my answer stacking from the other day. I think he will play.
What for the Marlins? Is it pretty much the Marlins and then the rest of the field?
Well, they don't have.
He's from Florida, right?
He lives in Miami. Yep.
Yeah. So that just would seem so easy for a team that is generally awful to be like, hey, let's bring in this guy that'll maybe sell some tickets.
And that would be something the Marlins would do.
He's got to be a DH, but I guess he could be a pinch hitter. Is what he would have to be.
Could he play first base?
He could play first base. That would be all right.
I actually think there's another team that makes a little more sense, and it's Tampa Bay.
For the same reasons?
Well, you could do the DH.
I mean, they're really garbage. They're just.
It is Florida, so it's a great way for them to get some tickets sold. But you play inside, so you have a much better chance, I would think, at hitting some home runs inside that, the Tropicana dump than some of these other places. Now, Marlins Park, they close the roof most of the time, so there shouldn't be an issue at all there. But, whether or not he can hold up, 140 games a year playing first base or whatnot,
Yeah.
that I'm not sure of. And so is he just going to be available for pinch hitting then from time to time? How are you going to do that? In the AL, I would say playing and out of all teams in the AL, I think Tampa would make the most sense if he's truly about hitting home runs, so he doesn't have to worry of. I think Trop's pretty easy to hit a few home runs in.
I've still got Charlie. I've still got the odds on him being the World Series MVP this year.
What are they?
I don't know what they are, but that's whatever they are. I want.
You're gonna put $1 on?
$10. We'll go $10 on that.
What do you think the odds are him also being catcher in the World Series? Do you think he could play catcher?
I don't think he could play catcher, no. I don't think he could. Wild card standings, Baltimore's a game up on Boston. So it would be Baltimore-Boston would be your one-game playoff, with Detroit a game and a half back, Seattle 2 back, our Astros 3 back, and look at these Yankees, 3.5 back, still sticking around. In the National League, Dodgers are 4.5 up, so they look pretty good to at least win the wild card, if not the division. And the second wild card spot, much in flux, with the St. Louis a half game better than our Marlins. St. Louis is a game and a half better than Pittsburgh, and the Mets struggling 2.5 back. So
the Marlins
Rockies are
right now, losing.
Yes.
They're 3-7 in their last 10. They just put Stanton on the DL. So this isn't good.
Cardinals 4-6 in their last 10, so they've missed an opportunity here to pick up more than a game. And the Mets have seemed to have fallen off the pace. Our Rockies also 5 games back after being around 500 last week. They've lost 8 of 10. So Rockies, rest in peace. The Yankees are 3.5 back. Are they still legitimate?
I mean, they're the Yankees, and they've been considered really not a legitimate threat for much of this year. So it's hard for me to say yes, but 3.5 back, yes, they are.
Good.
Not only are they a threat, they're going to win in the wild card round and make the next round of the playoffs.
Jesus, look at this guy.
If they play Boston in the wild card round, wouldn't that be something? That game would. You better start that at like 2 in the afternoon, because that game ain't getting done until 8 at night.
Long games, very long games. Apparently, David Ortiz had a bobble-head, and they said it looked. I have no idea. They said they couldn't give it away because it looked racially insensitive or whatever. I didn't see anything wrong with it. Did anybody else see it?
Well, the thing is I saw pictures of it, but like not all the pictures look the same. So this is where you get into like who's
photoshopping,
who's photoshopping it, and who do you trust in the first place? So I don't know. Some of them it looked fine. Some of them it looked like they enlarged like the lips or something. But I don't know which ones were like the accurate ones.
Whatever one I saw no problem with it. So I have no idea why they did this. I thought this was stupid. Is what it was.
I'm looking at it right now. I don't know why you would put the lips on them like that in the first place. I'm seeing one here of just in his glasses and fingers pointed up. I have no issue with that one. That's the one they should have gone with, rather than one with him holding a microphone in his. Oh, but I guess that's probably from the
Boston
massacre, or not the massacre, but the Boston Marathon bombings.
Like, I think they both look fine. I think they look like him, and I don't see anything wrong with either one. So it's very odd to me. Tim Tebow wants to play baseball. Huh?
It's the world we live in. People are too sensitive.
Tim Tebow wants to play baseball. Will he ever play for any team? Minor league, major league, whatever. Will anybody sign him?
Minor leagues.
They will do a minor league, you say?
This to me,
What was it you said, Kriens? You broke up for a second on my thing.
Will any team sign him? Minor league.
I think somebody will definitely sign him, if anything, just for the publicity for it. I don't think he's ever going to play in a regular season major league game, though.
you know what makes the most sense? Tampa Bay.
Jesus Christ! Just have Tampa Bay be everybody. What position is he going to play? At first I thought, well, a pitcher, of course. He'll be a pitcher. What outfield? Where's this guy playing?
Right field.
Right field. He plays right field.
Catcher.
Why not? Catcher. This will be interesting to see if anything comes of this.
It kind of reminds me of that movie with was it John Hamm in it, $1 Million Arm, when they go to
Is that the one where he's getting the cricket players or whatever?
Yeah, when they go to India, and the Pirates ended up signing both of them, and I think one of them still might be in the minor leagues, or was with the team at one point.
I think what was it? One of them, Garrett Cole?
No.
Oh, okay. I must have misread
I don't
that.
think he hails from India, but
Not anymore because he's playing with Pittsburgh.
This this whole thing kind of reminds me of that a little. It's like a PR stint, essentially.
I think if Tim Tebow was 22 or 23, I would still think it's probably not going to work out, but I could at least entertain the idea that, who knows? He's a good athlete. Maybe if given enough time, he could turn into... But he's like 29 right now, right?
Any chance they could say he's from the Dominican Republic? Would that help his chances?
I don't know. That's a good question. But I think he's...
May that hurt?
I think it'd be pretty tough in your late 20s or early 30s to be like, hey, I'm going to switch sports. I mean, Michael Jordan was in his early 30s, and it was not like Michael Jordan turned into this great baseball player.
I'm sure we've had this discussion in the past, but do we think that Tim Tebow was not given a fair chance to stay in the NFL?
Oh, yeah. He did what he did with the Broncos and won the division. However, he won the games. He won them. At the end, at least, he played awful for 3 quarters, and at the end, when he needed the touchdown, he would win the game. The Jets were awful, and the Jets never started him, rarely played him, and then he was out after that. So with all the terrible teams out there, Jaguars and all the teams at the time, yeah, he should have at least been given a chance to fail. And
I've always been kind of surprised that somebody after the Jets didn't give him like a better shot, but I don't think anyone at the same time, at least most people, don't think like he had all this untapped potential and was going to go on to be like a 5-time All-Pro or anything like that either.
We saw what he could do. Yeah. He really wasn't going to turn the ball over. You're going to play kind of an old school run the ball, control the clock, not many possessions type of game. And when you do that, you got a chance to win a lot of the time. Limit the possessions. So
The mass exodus of ESPN talent will continue then.
Good.
And if you think about it, it was 2011 that year?
Yes.
So, I mean, it's not obviously exactly the same, but there's a fair amount of guys that were on the Broncos defense last year that won the Super Bowl that were on that 2011 defense, which just goes to show that, if your defense is good enough, you can win a lot of different ways, but clearly none of that would have worked if they did not have a lights-out defense. And for like 2 months, somehow he was like the story of the NFL. And the games, like you mentioned, were generally garbage, but man, it was entertaining to watch them.
We have frozen up. I can't see anybody. Hello.
Hello?
You just froze up. Could you see me at all?
I could not. I could see your guys, but none of you guys were moving, and I saw that you had it said hello above your thing. But the only icon that was moving was mine on my screen.
That was
Which I would assume it was the same for you guys, that it was only your own.
Everybody else was frozen. We were not. That's the way that went. Now we're back. The Big 12 wants to expand, apparently. That's what they say this week.
For now. We'll see if they change their mind again for like the 4th time this summer.
There's 18 teams on the list here.
Some of them were pretty entertaining.
Air Force, Arkansas State, Boise State, BYU, Colorado State, Connecticut, Cincinnati, Houston, Memphis, San Diego State, New Mexico, Northern Illinois, East Carolina, SMU, Central Florida, South Florida, Temple, Tulane. 2 teams to me, Boise State and BYU, seem to be above the rest. Houston, Memphis would be okay. Everybody else, get the hell out of here.
Who would you want to see the Big 12 take? Because I would agree that those 4 would probably be the 4 best, or at least Boise State, BYU, and Houston would be the 3 best. But if you could force them to pick 2, which 2 would you pick?
I would like to see them pick those 2 just based on competitive, because I think those 2 teams could be in the top 2 or 3 in a given year.
Sometimes I get kind of ornery, and the ornery part of me wants to see them add Air Force in New Mexico.
New Mexico, that'd be bad.
New Mexico would be really bad.
Tulane and East Carolina, let's go.
East Carolina, probably one of my 5 favorite teams, so I'm fine with them. Houston would be fine. Houston should be pretty good this year again. Northern Illinois, always a good team in the MAC. I like to see Northern Illinois play some teams. They probably get their ass kicked and win 3 games a year. Let's see them do some stuff.
Compete with Kansas and Iowa State in the non-conference, and then lose to everybody else in conference. Then
I think that Houston and Memphis probably make the most sense from across the board in terms of athletics. BYU, I heard, just wants to be in for football only.
Okay.
And they want to be in the West Coast Conference, unless I misread that or misheard that information. But it sounded like they just wanted football only and maintain their status in the West Coast Conference for basketball or all other sports.
What team makes the least sense?
It depends for which schools you're talking about. Like, if we're honest, for the, let's see, how many Texas schools are in the Big 12 now? 4, Texas, Texas Tech, Baylor, and TCU. Mm-hmm. For the Texas schools, it makes the least sense to add Houston, because that gives them a team they're going to have to compete with more in recruiting, and who's going to steal more players from them. I think for the Big 12 as a whole, it would be better to add Houston. But certainly, especially like Texas and TCU, who seem to be the 2 biggest names in the Big 12 in Texas, like, just would not want to play them. Like, I know it was the same when the Big 12 added TCU, is that none of the Texas schools wanted to bother, like, bringing another school up a level.
Connecticut, could you get farther away? Jesus Christ, Connecticut.
And the one I'm always kind of surprised doesn't ever get more play is Colorado State, and maybe that's just me, but Colorado used to be in the Big 8 and then the Big 12, and obviously has left now, and you could just replace them with another school in the state of Colorado, who, yeah, I mean, at least Colorado State isn't great, but it's not like Colorado State's been, terrible over the last 15 years either. Like, I'm not saying they have to add Colorado State. I just feel like after the top 2 or 3 that they should maybe be mentioned more often than they do.
San Diego State wouldn't be bad for football and men's basketball, but they're so far away that doesn't make a whole lot of great deals of sense geographically.
As long as my sister lives in San Diego, though, it would be interesting to visit her and be able to see a Big 12 game maybe while I'm there.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
stacking.
No, you go.
When do we expect something to happen here? It seems like they want to. Like at the end of the year, can we expect, all right, next season will I get something? 2 seasons from now we'll get something? And as far as the divisions, would you got to look at it and say, okay, what Nebraska and Missouri left, those were 2 North teams. Colorado left, a North team. So as far as
A&M's the only Southern team that left.
those geography teams are kind of the Houstons of the world, kind of screwed here. How would you make the divisions up here? All the Texas schools together,
like,
what, 4?
Part of it would also depend, like, are they going to add 2 teams or are they going to add 4 tems?
Like you say, it completely depends on which schools they add. I would say you do North and South. So
why not something like Legends and Leaders?
Oh,
and
yeah.
just have them just like randomly have the teams in there based on no geographic.
Atlantic
component.
and Coastal?
Yes, do something like
Or
that.
name them after the two best coaches in that conference ever, like the Barry Switzer division.
Tom
and
Osborne division.
Yeah. Although I guess they probably wouldn't do that since Nebraska's not there anymore. It'd have to be. I'm blanking on the guy from Texas from the 70s. That guy. Would it
Royal?
Daryl K. Royal, yeah. The Daryl K. Royal and Barry Switzer divisions.
I always do like on the Big Ten Network they show old Nebraska games.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if they were to get BYU and Boise State, the North is very easy then. Boise State, BYU, Kansas State, Iowa State, and West Virginia.
Okay.
Then you have your Texas and Oklahoma schools in the South.
That would seem to be a big. I agree with the geography. Competitive-wise, there seems to be a bit of a difference. South would be a lot better than the North.
And I know when you look at the possible scenarios of how they do things, a lot of people talk about, do you want to split up Oklahoma and Texas and not have them in the same division so then they could theoretically play in the conference title game, although the ACC tried that with Florida State and Miami, and they've not played once in the title game yet. Also, the Big Ten did it with the Legends and Leaders when they put Ohio State and Michigan in opposite divisions. It never worked out. I think that would not have worked well to see the same game 2 weeks in a row. I think if they wanted to do that with Texas and Oklahoma, it would work better just because, they play early in October, so it's at least a while until they play again.
Okay.
Also, a lot of people are saying you move Oklahoma State to the other division, so you've got Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. I mean, basically, I'm just saying there's a lot of different ways you could kind of tinker with things. It's very frequent that, they have north, south, east, west division breakups, but they're not perfectly north, south, or east, west.
No, you could divide Kansas and Kansas State too. So, but if you want to go alphabetical order and add BYU and Boise State, you'd have those two, Baylor, Iowa State, Kansas, and Kansas State.
Alphabetical order.
Alphabetical, yeah.
Wow. Look at this.
So the only difference, I guess, would be then that West Virginia would get moved to with the Texas and Oklahoma schools, while Baylor gets bounced to the northern. So
also, if they add 6 teams and get to 16, you could have 4 like individual divisions or pods, and you play your own division, and then you play some from the other ones, and it's basically you have
Every
to
3
play
years.
like 2 conference title games. Like you've got a semifinals and then a final for a conference championship. That might be kind of interesting.
Or we could split them up into regions. See this nice map here? It's
the NCAA regional map.
I like that when you showed that stack in. Like I could see the map, but the only word I could read was Canada. So I'm excited to see Canada in the Big 12.
Well, I mean,
you take all of Canada together, you could probably make a solid conference team to compete in the Big 12 out of all of the Canadians.
So I have done this, though, already for football based on this color coding system. Good. If we were to do it that way. So I have a couple of mega conferences here. So,
okay,
like this, where am I at here? Okay.
Are you going 4 16-team conferences?
Nope. I've got like 12 conferences.
16 4-team conferences.
No. So
everybody plays each other 3 times.
Are you only including the big boy schools, or are you going like all, like including the mid-major teams too? Okay.
But like, there's really only major ones. So like the pink here signifies the South Central region. So I have
Hold
Arkansas.
on, I'm gonna move it so I only see you. Hold up your.
Oh, sorry.
If you can, I don't know, but
yes.
Hold that up while you're explaining this.
So this pink section right here would be the South Central, or the Big 12, I guess, and it would include Arkansas, LSU, Mississippi State, Houston, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Texas, Texas A&M, Baylor, Texas Tech, and TCU.
Okay.
That's a good one. The Southeast Conference would be very, very difficult. I would have this is the big one.
This map is made for this? Is this what this is?
No, it's not. This is my Daktronics thing.
But you're going based off of that. Okay.
Yep. So I reference that. So then, like, you get to the Southeast region here. You have your big boys like Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, Duke, Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Miami, North Carolina State, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Wake Forest, and Memphis. 16 teams in that.
You said big boys, and then you mentioned Duke and Wake Forest and Memphis.
Well, like, they're already in the ACC, so
does every team have the same amount of teams? Does every conference have the same amount of teams?
No, it does not.
Okay.
So, kind of playing with it.
Sampling there.
Also, I think I finished. I've not posted, but the draft, both pieces are done in the Sports Lounge blog thing for me on the Big 12 adding teams to become a 2-tiered conference with promotion and relegation.
That's the big thing, the promotion and relegation. That's what we want to do, and that'd be a good way to do it.
I guess how far does the Big 12 want to extend their geographical footprint? I mean, what can you get into? Because the Big 10 has gone from, like, as far west, of course, as Nebraska, all the way now stretching to New York City with Rutgers. So, I think where can the Big 12 go? Do they have to go west and not invade the Pac-12? Like, where can they realistically go, or how far do they want to go to extend their conference, and then, of course, their TV deals and everything?
Well, part of the problem is that, like, none of the schools left to add, for the most part, are really good. So, like, they could add places that would add TV markets, which also kind of brings in other problems, because we don't know, like, how the landscape of television is going to look 4 or 5 years from now. You know, for all we know, it could be like, you know, Big Ten games are all on Netflix or something like that, and that could completely change the way we've looked at it in the past. But like, I get what you're saying, Stackin, but like, I don't know what would be the, like if you added Central Florida, you know, they're a large public university that's in Orlando, I think, if I remember right.
Yep.
But like, you know, you add stuff in Florida, and I get how that would help, but it's not connected to the rest of the country. I guess basically I'm just saying I don't know how much it would help. Like, I don't know how much Rutgers and Maryland is helping the Big Ten. Like I get it's helping to an extent, but also, like, how much of that is just the brand being good in itself?
I mean, I think it would make sense to go after Memphis, try and get that market, and Boise State wouldn't be bad. But what about, like, UNLV? Get Las Vegas.
If there's one conference of the 5 Power 5 conferences that makes the most sense to be involved with Las Vegas, I think it's the Big 12.
I think it's the Big 12
kind of
over the
skeezy,
Pac-12.
under the weather, or under the radar doing stuff. Frequently things don't make any sense at all. I think they would fit in well. I never really thought too much about that, but I kind of hope that the Big 12 adds UNLV now.
I would say, BYU and Boise would be the two teams that are good in football that I would like to add. And it's the deal where would you like to add one of those two teams where in their area, Boise State, they're the biggest thing in that state and in that region, and BYU and Utah are the biggest thing in that area, large area. All Central Florida's okay, and they're like the fourth or fifth best team in Florida. So would you like to add like the fourth or fifth best team in a real good spot as far as recruiting and all that, or would you like to add like the SDSU type of the one-trick pony town? They're not very big, but they're the biggest thing in a vast region. So I would go with the biggest thing in the vast region.
And you can look at that too with them taking TCU, because TCU has done very well in football, but men's basketball sucks, and women's basketball has been okay, I guess, but not great since joining the Big 12. So you would probably, if you're the Big 12, look towards those schools that probably have a stronger football mentality or that have really good football teams, and then just hope that the rest of their programs can kind of pick up pace. So that looking at that, then it would make much more sense to go with Boise State and BYU or Houston.
And also, when they add, Kriens kind of mentioned it, but part of it is also recruiting, and if they can add new recruiting states. Mm-hmm. So if the Big 12 wanted to go strictly for recruiting purposes only, they could add 4 teams and add San Diego State, Central Florida, Cincinnati, and Georgia Southern, or somebody like that, or Georgia State, and then add California, Georgia, Florida, and Ohio. And it might take 5 or 10 years, but eventually you're going to see that more of those guys would end up going to play in the Big 12 then. So, I mean, I don't think that clearly recruiting is not the sole reason you do it, but if you wanted to do it that way, you could add
many ways,
more areas and hotbeds to get players from.
The beds, they are hot. Finally, Mr. Stacken, John Saunders, 61 years old, died earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
Unexpectedly.
Yep.
30 years he was there at ESPN, did everything. Pretty much at every sport. What do you remember him for? Is there one that sticks out more than the rest?
I would say probably more his, sports reporters, I think, tops it all for me. But knowing that he and Bob Lee and Chris Berman are kind of that trio that kind of made ESPN what they are today. And then I would say probably college football. I think of when I hear John Saunders, I think more college football, I guess, than any other sport. But he was certainly into hockey. He was very good back in the junior leagues up in Montreal. And he did really enjoy hockey. But I would probably lean towards the sports reporters, which isn't the sport, of course, but more of the show, and then also his work in college football.
I would say college football, too. Yeah, ABC, halftime show, whatever. Charlie, that's college football for you?
For me, it was college football, and especially when I was younger, there were, like a lot of people, when I was younger with sports, I thought, I'm supposed to, hate this team or hate this person, so I hated more things when I was younger. And especially when I was younger, as there were announcers and analysts I didn't like. I always liked Saunders, though, and even if he was with somebody I did not like at the time, he always found a way to, I don't know,
make them bearable.
Ease it and make it better, and he just seemed very, I don't want to say all these other people were unprofessional, but he seemed to be more professional while at the same time not being stuffy or anything like that either.
So John Saunders, unexpected there, 61 years old, died earlier this week. Speaking of college football, I believe next week is the first week of our 2 weeks talking about what I will say is the second biggest professional sport in the land, or second best professional football league in the country. That'd be
Only
college
behind
football.
the MLS, right?
That's right. Right behind the MLS, the Premier League. So next week, tentatively scheduled, I guess, would be we're gonna go with the SEC. Pac-12. And ACC? Big
That
Ten.
works. I might not be here. Will be in Minnesota. So,
oh my goodness.
It's the college football preview. You got to be here.
I know. Well, you got to make a time for me then.
I'll say though.
At night.
SEC, Pac-12, ACC. That's what we'll do. Then
I was going to say, I think we should split up the SEC and the Big Ten. So,
yes. Big Ten
that works.
Big Ten would be in 2 weeks. Big 12 would be in 2 weeks. Any other conference would be in 2 weeks. And our final picks, championship picks and playoffs and bowls.
Can I add one thing?
Yes.
To pick, and I'm just saying it now to give everyone time. And this is more subjective, but like if there's any team that is routinely bad or at least mediocre that you kind of like and are like, I just would like it if this team that I don't have any reason to like or dislike would just be better. I think that'd be kind of fun.
Yep, I have my team already.
Good. Well, so you a night would work better for you. What?
Probably night would work better.
Summer Slams next week, Saxon. We can't be going so goddamn late here.
Well, I can do it whenever next week because I've got
4 o'clock. Is 4 o'clock too early?
I might miss the first part, but would get back for the last part of the show, so that would probably work.
Tentatively scheduled 4 o'clock next week. Talk SEC, Pac-12, and ACC. So
SEC, Pac-12, and ACC.
I have 3 of my 4 playoff teams cemented in stone.
Don't pick Washington.
No, I'm not picking Washington.
Is it Oklahoma you're leery on stacking?
Yeah, it might be, yes. It's between them and Michigan. That I'll just put it at that. Those 2 for the final spot.
I got my college football preview Sports Illustrated in the mail the other day, which I like. Alabama is 1, Clemson is 2, Florida State is 3, Michigan is 4. Anybody want to take
LSU, Oklahoma, or Ohio State? Which one of those 3 is 5?
LSU. Followed by Oklahoma. Washington at 7. That's fucking ridiculous, is what that is.
Putting a lot of faith in the Chris Peterson Boise State days, along with the fact that Washington has a bunch of starters back.
Houston is at 8. Houston, Oklahoma, right now without, I've looked at the schedule, Houston, Oklahoma might be my one game of week 1.
To me, either that one or Florida State and Ole Miss. I would say, to me, those are the 2 best week 1 games.
And my show me team of the year, anybody want to take a guess at this?
San Diego State.
Here, wait, hold on.
No.
You talk, Zach, and I'm going to take like a minute to run through my head of who it could be for Kriens.
SDSU is, 24th on this thing here? I'm intrigued by SDSU.
I read where they could be this year's
Houston
undefeated team that'll get into that one team kind of outside the Power 5 that will make some noise.
Is your show me something team, Kriens? Is it a team that we have mentioned already today?
I don't think so. No.
So it's not Washington. Therefore, I'm going to guess it is the more eastern version of Washington this year and guess that your show me something team is the Tennessee Volunteers.
I'm sick of this fucking team. Either do something shit or get off the pot, okay? Either win your shitty fucking division or fire your fucking coach and quit raping people. I'm sick and tired of Tennessee's a team. Well, don't shit yourselves against Florida. Don't shit yourselves against Oklahoma. Win a division that it's easily fucking winnable with such shit as a Florida team that averages 10 points a game, and Georgia, which shits the bed on an annual basis. Is it too much to ask to win the fucking division for the first time in, I don't know, a dozen years?
Well, it's not going to
Jesus
happen.
Christ.
So
It's not going to happen. It was Schottenkirk, it was Marcus. Tennessee, Rocky Top, let's get our dicks hard about Tennessee football. And now you're saying no to Tennessee football this year. Preseason top 10, according to Sports Illustrated. You say no.
Nope.
What changed? What happened?
Kirby Smart going to Georgia.
Oh,
I like
wow.
that.
You like that? Okay.
I like that. You like that?
You like the guy that
like
doesn't
that?
have any head coaching experience?
Yeah. Well, you know what? We're gonna.
He could be good.
If I may also offer a team that I'd like to say, show me something this year. I am so sick and tired. Granted, he's in his first year with the program, but I'm so sick and tired of people talking about the U. Let's show me something, U. Otherwise, get the hell out of here.
Just like Georgia, they're going to win 9-10 games a year and fail expectations. That's what they're going to do.
Kriens, how would you like this? This was something I was thinking of the other day. What if Tennessee, who has not beat Florida since 2004, I think they play Florida in Week 4 and Georgia in Week 5.
They do.
What if they lose to both Florida and Georgia, but they beat Alabama, beat everybody else on their schedule, go 10-2, but Georgia
wins the division?
Loses to Clemson Week 1, loses to Georgia Tech, their last game of the year, and then also loses to, let's see, I'm trying to think who Georgia plays, who I remember. Let's say Georgia loses to Auburn in the Deep South's oldest rivalry and loses to somebody else not named Tennessee or Florida.
At Ole Miss?
At Ole Miss, there we go. Lose at Ole Miss. But since Georgia beat Tennessee, 8-4 Georgia goes to the SEC title game over 10-2 Tennessee. Like, are Tennessee fans happy at maybe going to a New Year's Six bowl game, or are they like, damn it, we still can't beat fucking Georgia and Florida?
The second, they would hate it. They would fucking hate it.
Just briefly, again, just to go back to my U of Miami squad. September 17th, mark your calendars, boys. Miami at Appalachian State.
Are you calling it, folks? At?
Yes.
How did that
Miami
happen?
was, like, ever since I remember, Miami has always had these weird road games where you're like, why are you playing there? So, I don't know.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
My God.
So, Kriens, show me something teams, were you done stacking?
Yeah, I am.
Kriens is Tennessee. Stackins is Miami.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll see next week if I come up with a different one. I'm just trying to think of one off the top of my head. Aside from Washington,
that's the team that I am not picking that I like. That I hope does really well this year. I wish the U would win 3 games and.
It's not Iowa. What the hell?
For me, I was gonna say it's Iowa for me.
Show me something.
You had a pretty easy schedule last year. You went 12-0. Can you prove it wasn't a fluke and go? They're not going to go 12-0, but can you go 10-2, or are you going to go 8-4?
I've got my.
I don't know if I didn't hear you guys correctly there for like the top game of the first weekend, but did you mention Notre Dame at Texas?
We did not. Is that yours? Does that intrigue you?
That intrigues me very much. USC and Alabama also intrigues me.
I think USC Alabama's like a good game in theory. I think Alabama's going to beat USC like they beat Wisconsin last year, though, in a game that's kind of boring. Unless you're an Alabama fan.
Me and Charlie talked a while ago about Week 1 schedule, and I really like what Alabama does by scheduling a named team at a neutral site that they're obviously better than. They're 2 or 3 touchdowns better than, but it's going to be a team that's going to win at least 8 games. And you'll be like, oh yeah, that's a good team, but they're obviously going to beat them.
Oklahoma, Houston, though, I just looking at it here, that might actually top Notre Dame, Texas.
I think that's like an 11 a.m. game too. I think that's the first.
And I think Florida State and Ole Miss is the Monday Labor Day game.
Yes.
And Stacking, I don't know, since you haven't been on the show recently, and I also will have something else coming out on the Sports Lounge blog about if you could do an ultimate college football road trip and visit one game each week, with one caveat, you cannot see a team play more than once the entire trip, which completely changes how you have to do it. My week 1 game is Notre Dame at Texas.
There we go.
I didn't think it was necessarily the best game, but it was one that was a good game, and that neither of them played enough games later in the season that I wanted to use, or it came into conflict with something else.
I may see if I got...
Like USC and Notre Dame's good, but spoiler alert, I'm pretty sure I picked Ohio State and Michigan that week.
I'll maybe make my own list, see if I got time this week, and see how it compares.
If you've got time, it's kind of fun. There's a point where you've got like 3 weeks left, though, and you look, though, and you're just like, well, shit, what am I going to do? I'm going to maybe have to change like 3 weeks now to put this team in.
That's when you pick South Dakota State against Drake, September 10th.
I did not pick any FCS games. I do have one mid-major game, though, between Kriens' aforementioned should be in the Big 12 teams, BYU and Boise State.
Oh, my. I'll probably go to a couple SDSU games, Hobo Day and whatever. I want to go to the Youngstown State game to see the coach. That's why I want to go there to see the coach. Absolutely.
See if he gets ejected.
I just want to see this man. When is this? Hobo Day is Youngstown State. So two bird stack. I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 thrown rock, as they say. October 22nd.
You know, sometimes you think about time and how it's too bad I wasn't. It's too bad that, like, either we aren't younger or these things didn't happen farther ago, so I couldn't have been the guy who would have driven Bo Pelini on the golf cart to the press conference. Been like, huh?
You're Bo Pelini.
Look how far you've fallen since you were in Nebraska.
Speaking of fighting Bo Pelini's, also September 17th, that Iowa squad that Charlie wants to show him something. They play the Bison, so show me something. Iowa beat NDSU.
I've talked to a few different people about this, especially Stacking. Are you kind of a Gophers football fan or no? I forget.
I'll cheer for them. I don't follow the program very closely, but being from Minnesota, it's kind of like, yeah, I really hope they do well.
So like a lot of Gophers fans do not care for Iowa football then?
Yes.
Okay, so perfect, because I asked this to Marcus also. Who would you want to win, North Dakota State and Iowa? Because you've got reasons to not like both teams and to want both teams to lose. If you were forced, rest of the season not mattering, just that one game, if you were forced to cheer for one team, who are you going to cheer for?
Iowa. Because I think that Minnesota football fans genuinely hate Wisconsin more than they do Iowa. But
I would agree with that.
They're very close. It's like a 1-2 punch. They're very close to one another. And I guess it also, being an SDSU grad, I think that makes it a little bit different, too, because you have more reason to not care for NDSU.
I'll say this.
By the way, Carson Wentz, hairline fracture in his ribs.
Oh,
He's
no.
done for the preseason,
most
likely.
No.
And that whole media policy, I've heard rumors that the president may be on his way out.
That'd be good. We talked about that last week, and he knew about it, and he said he didn't, and that's a lie. So screw him. And I'm of the opinion I want NDSU to win 5 more national titles in a row. Win 10 in a row.
10 straight national titles.
I guess I am because New England didn't like New England early on. I'm fine with New England now. I would say the longer along in the dynasty you get, if I didn't like you early on, I will end up liking you after a while. I'm saying, well, wow, that's fairly impressive. Let's see how long you can keep that going.
It is a healthy hatred or respect, I believe, that most SDSU fans have for NDSU and vice versa. Now, if this were USD having won 5 in a row, I think we would all be singing a far different tune.
And
Not for me with North Dakota State. They're cheaters. Can't wait till they start losing every game and get put on probation.
I mean, honestly, the fans of the school and the team may as well be in the South. I mean, that's how lowly I think of them, and you know how highly I think of the South. And USD, I mean, they're irrelevant. I do not care at all about USD. It's like, yeah, they're there. They're not any good. Whatever. So there you go.
Well, I know, but if they had won 5 straight championships, would you be like, yeah, I like this team? You'd be like, no.
Yeah, maybe.
No, you wouldn't.
We'll see. We'll see when that day comes. You know, their women's basketball team, I was a year off on them winning the deal. I'm like, they're going to beat SDSU in the championship game. They didn't beat them in the championship game, but they beat them the year after. I'm like, all right, good enough. They were a good squad.
Women's basketball here, the schedules have come out. And it's more, it just reminds me of George Marshall freaking out on the refs at this recent exhibition game between Wichita State and Canada. He went berserk, got suspended for the final game, but both the men and the women play Wichita State this year a day apart.
You're going to head down there?
Yeah, I think I'll make the trip on down to Wichita.
The 12-hour drive to Wichita. Good. Well,
is it bad that they're not playing Wichita State from the last 3 or 4 years? Wichita State was really good, so it would seem like a bigger deal? Or is it better because South Dakota State would probably, and I'm talking about the men here, stand a better chance to win? Like, I don't think Wichita State's going to be awful, but I think it's safe to assume that they're not just going to be like, yep, better than everybody else in the Missouri Valley. Roll to another conference title.
Well, you know what? I don't think they're going to roll to another conference. Actually, I think that Wichita State might miss the NCAA tournament this year.
I think there's a very good chance that
in the
happens.
Missouri Valley. I think there's pros and cons to both sides of it. It would be great to play against the best that Wichita State has to offer, but at the same time, you do like to have a chance against a school. And
like to win
Wichita State still has some really good players on there, but I'm fine with it this year. Had it been previous years, I think it would have been fine as well.
Stacking, we have a no-hitter in progress. A 6 1/3 innings no-hitter.
Oh, who is it for?
Steven Matz for the Mets.
Oh, didn't he have one last year?
No. No. So he's 92 pitches in. Pitch count may be an issue, but he is 6 1/3 innings, no hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, a 2-0 lead for the struggling Mets over the Padres. So look for that in the blog tomorrow if there's a no-hitter. Look for it.
Yep. It might be a possibility here. I normally mention the perfect games and no-hitters.
And a SummerSlam preview sometime this week from Stacking. It'll be exciting.
SummerSlam will always hold a special place in my heart because I remember as a little kid, there was a commercial for it where they showed a track and field, and they showed a guy, I don't remember which wrestler it was, but was literally running through and breaking the hurdles by running through them as the commercial. And this was probably like circa 1995, 96, somewhere in there.
Look to YouTube, see what we can find. Next week, we'll talk SEC football, we'll talk Pac-12 football, we'll talk ACC football. 4 o'clock show is
tentatively 4 o'clock.
Tentatively 4 o'clock. That is the time right now.
Is that real time, quick. Mountain time, or Hawaiian time?
Greenland.
Okay.
Real quick, preview to our college football preview. And we can all reserve the right to change our answers from right now. But if you were going to say in your brain who your 4 playoff teams are, I'm not asking you to give your 4 playoff teams. What conference are you leaving out of the 4-team playoff as of right now, though?
The Pac-12, folks. The Pac-12 again. Get screwed.
I'm leaning towards the Big 12 right now.
The American. I'm getting ready.
Wow.
No, thank you.
No Fun Belt in the Final Four?
No.
Well, you know what? If Appalachian State beats Miami, come talk to me September 18th.
We will. We'll have a show that day. Talk to Stacking about App State beating Mark Richt. Lounge 182 in the books. Olympics will be dead. Football season coming up. Lounge 183 next week.